Hello, I'm Dr. Sam Hancock of the Emerald Planet and Emerald Planet TV. We come to you on a week-to-week basis from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technology, services, and products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And as we have a planet of 9 billion people by 2038 and possibly 12 to 13 billion by the end of this century, how are we going to be able to take care of all these people on planet Earth? And that's what Emerald Planet's all about. We come to you looking at the solutions, the best practices from around the globe as we create the Emerald Planet. Hello, welcome to the Emerald Planet. We're making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And seeing the long-term impacts of climate change. We're glad to have you. Thank you for being with us. Looking at the country of Nepal, a very interesting ancient society, unique location, dynamic people, much to share with the world, yet in many ways isolated. But yet there's a young man sitting right beside me who decided a number of years ago that he was going to go in and actually be learning from the people at the same time that he was going to be sharing the ideas and the skills and the talent that he had. This is Dr. Malcolm J Odell Jr. He's the Evaluation, Training, and Sustainable Development Specialist as what's called Appreciative, I like that term, Planning and Action Consulting, APA. So looking at the organization, APA, why the term appreciative? What's about that?
Well, that's the key to the whole thing. Because in development, most people around us and with us and through us and ourselves included always got into development looking at the problems and what we could do to fix them. And what happens is they only got worse. Mm-hmm. And it reminds me of the American Psychological Association, which for years counseled couples on how to solve their problems and have them talk about their problems. And then Marty Seligman, the head of American Psychology Association, said, folks, we've been doing all this great counseling for 50 years and the divorce rate is going through the roof. We've got it all wrong. We shouldn't be looking at the problems. We should be looking at their successes, mm-hmm. the joys, what are the beauties of, and how to make more of it. And that's where Appreciative Inquiry was born. Mm-hmm. It's Case Western Reserve University simultaneously found that by looking at what works and what's good in a company, they could, and what's even better, they could actually get much more positive change than trying to solve problems. Mm-hmm. So we focus on appreciating successes. And there's a wonderful story from the NASA's, was it the Columbia that blew up because of the O-ring failures, mm-hmm. and it almost brought NASA to its knees, and they argued and quarreled and debated for months to try and find why did the O-rings fail, and one of their guys went down on the floor of the assembly line, and he saw a guy sweeping the floor, and he said, Charlie, what do you think caused those O-rings to fail? And Charlie looked around. He says, boss, I got no idea, but I'll tell you something. Those O-rings over there never failed. They were looking at the failures, but right in front of them were O-rings that never failed. That's what we're building on. We look at appreciating, mm-hmm. looking at the positive. And
that's what you're doing with these children we have right in front of us. But you were in the Peace Corps, fantastic experience. It really set your life's course, so you've been doing it all across the globe. But now you're back in Nepal and you're looking at this great Himalayan trail project. Why back to Nepal after all these many years? And why do we need to have a 538-mile long trail from one end of the country to the other to bring new development in this ecotourism or experiential tourism, as it's now being called?
We didn't go to Nepal to create a great Himalaya trail. We went back, one, because we love Nepal. Mm-hmm. And two, they were trying to take the park experience along the Terai and bring it into the mountains and develop some national parks in the mountains and they needed technical assistance for that. And I was invited to be co-project manager to open up a new park, a new national park, Makalu National Park, between Everest and the Aran Valley on the Tibetan border. Can you believe that? I was getting paid for that, no more volunteer. I went up to start seeing what we could do to develop some kind of participatory conservation and development. Because in the years since we left Peace Corps, we found that the big buzzword in development was participation, and we were going to get participatory development of these new parks.
Now, looking at this area right here, talking about this new park, why is this area so important to have a new park? And how did that really become a catalyst for something that's much grander than what you were thinking about at the time?
Well, it's pretty interesting because Everest was well known, and there are a lot of people looking at Everest, but right next to Everest is the second largest mountain in the world, Makalu. And the environmental ecosystem around Makalu is unbelievable, untrammeled, no tourists tramping all over it, beautiful ecosystem, religious sites, temples, sacred caves where monks are meditating, and wildlife in abundance, and flora and fauna of the hundreds of kinds, and we wanted to protect that. And we were going to be the experts, to try and develop a new national park. But we found we missed something, and then that's when appreciative planning and action came into the picture.
Now, looking at APA, this appreciative
Planning
action and plan, why is that when you look at this area, you're saying, how could you do anything different with this? One, it's naturally absolutely beautiful as it is, but yet at the same time, the people want to do more with it than what they've had in the past. So you have this convergence of, you have this pristine environment, you have people that really want to do more and better themselves. They're inviting you to come into it. So how do you take this APA style and do one better than what's already there?
Well, that's a very good question, because we thought we had something to offer. And we were participatory planners, and we were conservation experts and all that. But Makalu, like all the parks in Nepal, are different from national parks anywhere else in the world. They're full of people. There are hundreds of villages throughout these national parks. You're going to go in and kick the people out to protect the wildlife? No. You got to involve the people so they own it and they feel protection for that. So we were struggling to find a way to do that. And my friend Budi Tamang, who was on our team, said, we always are looking too much at the problems. He said,
and this goes back to the earlier story about the O-rings, same thing.
Yeah, he said, we just look at the problems, and we gather the problems, we collect all these problems, and then we take these problems and we plant them, and we cultivate them, and we water them, and we fertilize them, and we grow up whole new batches of new problems, and then we send them away to some university on the other side of the world, and they send us back hybrid problems. We said, that's not going to work. We need to look at things differently. And so we began going to, and we thought this appreciative inquiry thing might work, and we started doing it in our office, trying to fire ourselves up by looking at the good stuff rather than the bad stuff. And we find our team was getting fired up. And then they said, we got to take this to the villages. They need it more than we do. So we went off to the villages. I took off my hat as manager, gave it to Brian Peniston, my partner, and I put on my Peace Corps backpack, and with 12 of our staff members, we started going from one village to the next, to the next.
And it's amazing, just
villages.
like this photograph here, the people, the expertise, the wisdom, the hundreds, thousands of years of knowledge that they have sitting right there. And so now, leveraging that with APA.
We had to tap that, and we began to run meetings using this appreciative inquiry method, and we found the women were not coming. Only the men would come to the meetings, and we asked why aren't you coming to the meetings? We want the women to be part of this. And they said, are you kidding? You guys just talk all day, and their meetings go on for hours, sometimes days. You do your thing in a couple of hours, first thing in the morning, at the end of the day. We'll be there.
Now this is the women saying this.
The women say that.
Okay.
So we looked at ourselves, we got to trim this thing down, streamline this beautiful process out of Case Western Reserve University. And we essentially, what we did is every time we had a meeting with any villages, we said, what did you like best about this meeting? And what would make it even better to the next village? And using their feedback, we trimmed it down and down and down and down till we just got to these 3 basic questions. And we could ask these questions and work with the people for just a couple hours. And we were just asking questions. We weren't telling them what to do. We were just asking them questions, and they got excited.
Now, looking at these villagers and talking about the excitement and getting involved and using native wisdom and, you know, literally hundreds and thousands of years of knowledge and all that. What did you learn out of this? You've told me these stories, and I want to share this with our audience here about what you really learned, and maybe use the toilet as an example, which I think is just fantastic.
That's not a bad idea. First thing we learned was the incredible knowledge and wisdom that they already had right there. The second thing we learned, that really wasn't much we could teach them. We should be learning from them. And that's why we were using questions. Now, we were not teaching them anything. We were just asking them questions Socratically, which got them thinking about different things.
And allowing them to bring all this wealth from without them themselves and their villages.
And if you want to know about the latrines, we were trying to promote.
Yes, I think this is a fantastic example.
You know, development workers all over the world are still trying to persuade people to build latrines. And they're teaching them about sanitation and this and that and the other thing. In Nepal, along the trekking route that was coming through Makalu, we consulted the villages. What do you think you need to do? What would you like to do to make this village even more attractive than it is? And they said, well, we got to have latrines. No trekker's going to come through here unless we have latrines, and they got to be clean latrines. You know, but we've been talking about building latrines for years. But if we're going to have trekkers come through here, we got to have latrines. And, you know, and there was one meeting I was in when at the end of the meeting people said, hey, you know, the tea's not here yet. You'll be here 15 minutes. I'll bet you we can build a latrine in 15 minutes. And they jumped up and they ran out and said, Charlie, Ram Bahadur gets a shovel and Bim Bahadur gets some sticks and women get some mats, some bamboo mats, and dig a hole, and Ram Bahadur bring a couple of planks, and they dig the hole and they put a couple of planks on it and a bamboo mat around it and a little curtain across the top and a little bamboo mat on top, and the kids plant flowers around it. 20 minutes, beautiful latrine. And they've been
talking about this for years.
Years. And then they look at it and they said, hey, we could do this in every house. And the next thing you know, they said to us, come back next month and we'll show you how many latrines we got.
Now tell us what happened next.
And we never suggested the latrines.
Tell us what happened next.
What?
But tell us what happened next.
What happened next?
Yeah.
Was
you had the party.
Oh, wait, that comes later.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, you're jumping ahead of me here.
Oh, okay.
Right. We were still discovering, and we were still coming to discover these 3 questions that came out of it. And we finally, the complicated appreciative inquiry method boiled down to 3 questions. First of all, what's working? What's the good news? What are the successes? Share your successes. What do you love about this village? What do you love about this environment?
Now say those 3 things again, because we're going to go out on those.
Okay. Number 2.
Questions.
Number 2, what's even better look like? What would you like your village to look like for your children and grandchildren? And third, how are you going to get there? What's your action plan?
Give it to me quick. What the 3 are again. Quick.
What's working? What's even better look like? How do we get there?
Fantastic. Okay, this is Malcolm Odell from APA talking about the 3 questions that we need to present in villages so they bring up their own salvation, they bring up their own solutions. Thank you for being with us as we look around the globe to create the Emerald Planet.